everyone feeling confused. For some intersex people, puberty may start later than age 14. You might experience some of puberty's changes and not others, and your body may or may not go through puberty on its own. There are medicines you can take to help your body start the process, like hormone replacement therapy. Some people decide on hormones or surgeries to help their bodies match up to their gender identity, or how they feel inside about themselves. Your gender identity is real. You should be the one to decide what changes you want to make to your body. If you're transgender or non-binary, you may find that your puberty experiences don't line up with your gender identity, or how you see yourself. That feeling can be uncomfortable, scary, and stressful. If that sounds like you, know that you're not alone. There are medicines you can take to delay puberty for a while. They're called puberty blockers, and they work like a stop sign by halting the hormones testosterone and estrogen that cause puberty changes like facial hair growth and periods. Puberty blockers are safe, and can give you more time to figure out what feels right for you, your body, and your gender identity. You don't have to have all of the answers right now. So remember, it's all a work in progress, and it may take time to figure out what feels right to you, but talking to a trusted adult and a nurse or doctor may help. Want to learn more? Go to PlannedParenthood.org/teens.
And the time is just about 6 o'clock. You're listening to WUSB Stony Brook, broadcasting at 90.1 FM and 107.3 FM in Stony Brook. And also on the internet to WUSB.FM. And it's a Tuesday evening, 6 o'clock time, once again for another edition of Off the Wall. And a very good evening to everybody. The program is Off the Hook. No, wait. I've been thrown off by the previous DJ who called it Off the Hook. No, it's Off the Wall. Wow, this is not a good start. I get the name of the show wrong. Who am I? Oh boy, this is really not working out, is it? Yeah, okay, this is Emmanuel over here and Kyle over there, or vice versa. Not entirely sure.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
As guest and...
Watch me crash and burn.
Yeah.
Well, it's the first show of the new year, so Happy New Year.
Yeah, do you need an early sip of coffee? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling energized.
I mentioned before I could just stick my head in this large cup of coffee you gave me and just be content for the rest of the day.
That's an interesting way to relax.
It is. It really is. But these days, you take what you can get. And I just want to make sure there's a path open for you to run out screaming, because some of the things I'm going to bring up today will make everybody want to run out screaming.
I was just doing that. I was just doing that.
Okay. Well,
so I'm fine. I can do that. I'm ready to go.
Well, wait for the real highlights, because we're going to get into Trump's press conference today. Boy, that was that was a lot. That was an awful lot. But let's start with the good news. Congestion pricing. It's happening right now. As we speak, people are being charged to enter Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, below 60th Street. And yeah, I know most people are bitching and moaning about this. And that's not true, actually. Most people are not bitching and moaning. If you watch TV, you'll see most people are bitching and moaning. But most people who live in Manhattan don't mind having people pay to clog their streets. In fact, they wouldn't mind at all if you didn't clog their streets. And, this past week I heard that tolls had gone up on the New Jersey Turnpike and the Garden State Parkway. And should we sue New Jersey now? Because we have to pay more to use their roads. And they didn't consult us. How dare they? Who are they to tell us what we have to pay to use their facilities? Yeah, not one story about that. Not one. But everybody's going nuts over congestion pricing, which right now in its reduced format charges passenger cars $9 once a day, only once, to enter Manhattan below 60th Street. Now, I don't know anybody who drives into Manhattan every single day, but if you did that, for whatever reason, you'd be paying $45 a week, assuming you did it 5 days a week. And you have to wonder where you're putting your car those 5 days. I doubt you're finding free street parking in Manhattan every one of those days. You're probably putting it in a garage and paying a whole lot more. And if the garage raised its prices, the equivalent of $45 a week, you wouldn't start petitions. You wouldn't start screaming for the heads of politicians or whatever. My favorite is people who say, "Oh, it's just another cash grab by the MTA. They're just going to take money from me, and nickel and dime me to death." And they invariably say they should get the money some other way. Okay, so you're agreeing they need the money. They need the money to improve transit, mass transit. It's important. LIRR, Metro North, the subways, the buses. They clearly need to improve the infrastructure. And by saying they should get the money somewhere else, you're saying, yeah, they do need it, but just not from me. Well, then from who? Who pays this? Do we just make a new tax for everybody? Or do we charge the people who are using resources for basically nothing? And if you're driving in from Long Island, a lot of people around here are complaining about this, you don't have to pay anything to cross the river. You can cross the Williamsburg Bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, the Manhattan Bridge. Doesn't cost a penny. All these people from New Jersey are bent out of shape because I don't know why. I don't know why they think they're so special. They pay less. They pay only $6 a day because they get a $3 credit for the toll that they've been paying forever to cross from Jersey to New York. So $6 a day is considered a deal breaker for people who have cars, have jobs, and have the time to sit in traffic and don't want to take mass transit. where you wouldn't have to worry about any of this. Of course, New Jersey mass transit isn't up to par to New York mass transit. I get that. I understand. Maybe you guys should charge congestion fees, and you'd have more money to spend on your mass transit and improve it. I don't know. I can hardly
I was wondering that. What do their fees go to?
Well, I don't know. What do their fees go? I don't think they have it set up yet. They haven't. This is the first time in this country, Kyle. We've seen it in London. We've seen the congestion pricing there. We didn't actually use it ourselves because we weren't driving, but we saw the mechanics of it. And from what I've heard from people who live there, it works. It works. You basically have more money for the infrastructure. They just opened the Elizabeth line. That money had to come from somewhere to do that. Imagine expanding train service and bus service and all kinds of other things that we constantly hear are being cut because now we have more money coming in, a couple of $1 billion a year. The 15 billion is thrown around. I'm not sure how many years that's over, but it's basically between 2 and 3 billion a year. And that's a lot of money to invest into the infrastructure. And we need to be doing that.
Yeah, I remember in London seeing cyclists with air filter, respirators, particulate filters. It was the first time I'd ever really seen that in urban cycling culture. And it is part of it. And that affects drivers too. I mean, the air quality when you're in traffic congestion will lead to the same kind of illness and negative ill impacts, to you and other people, many other people that are a part of that urban core. To disincentivize that kind of congestion actually has a positive effect. And that I think is just overlooked and not really appreciated enough as the point of some of this.
Yeah.
And to reimagine, restructure the balance of how those centers of city centers operate and what types of traffic they serve best.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the flip side to this. Even if you don't get the full amount of people coming into Lower Manhattan because of the congestion fee, well, then you have less cars clogging up the streets. You have better air quality. It's a win-win either way. Either you get a whole lot of money or you get cleaner environment and less crowded streets, less accidents and things like that. Hopefully it's a bit of both. Hopefully it's far less cars and a good revenue source to build infrastructure better, so more people can access things more easily. I mean, Kyle and I, went to the city a couple of weeks ago, and it was so easy to get there, to get around, to get back. And not every city has that. In fact, most cities do not. And we are so lucky. But we need to maintain it. We need to expand it. We need to really embrace it, because this is basically how you have a successful city. Now, it's a fairly minimal fee. It's supposed to be $15, and it will be $15 in a few years. But Kathy Hochul put the brakes on it last year, and is introducing it in stages. So right now it's $9 during the peak period, which I believe lasts until was it 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. And then off-peak hours, overnights, $2.25. And obviously there's going to be less congestion there. I was looking over the price. I found a whole chart about prices here from the MTA. Peak period, 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. weekdays, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. weekends. Now, a couple of things. Cars, like I said, only pay once a day. So you could drive your car in, leave Manhattan, drive back, and keep doing that all day long. You're only going to pay $9. If you're in an 18-wheeler and you're doing that, you're going to pay every time. That's just how it works. And I can't imagine why you would do that. I saw a report, one of the many complaining reports I've seen on local TV news, from a restaurant that was upset because, well, actually, no, it was from a distributor, a food distributor to restaurants, and they were upset that they would have to pay, I think, about $24 because they're a truck to deliver to places in Manhattan. And they were saying, and if I leave Manhattan and come back, then I have to pay again. Well, why would you do that? Why would you come into Manhattan with a truck full of food, then leave Manhattan and come back again? I mean, if you're emptying your entire truck, going back to wherever you're coming from, and going back a second time into Manhattan, you can probably afford the $24 because you're making a mint selling all the food to all these places. It's a truck after all. It's a big truck. So different things for different vehicles. But one thing I noticed on this chart, which kind of bugged me, and no attention has been drawn to this, but they say the 11th trip and trips thereafter in a calendar month are only I might be misreading this. 450. This is laid out weird. This might be for low income discount plan participants. Okay, if you're low income, all right, I get it now. Then you pay $450 after 11 trips. I thought they were offering a discount if you drove in more than other people, which would be contrary to the spirit of this whole thing. So, all right, it seems to be fair for the most part. One thing I did notice, though, buses. Now, there was a whole big thing about some buses last year. One particular company is called Hampton Jitney. Now, what they do is they drive people from the Hamptons, from Eastern Long Island, various other parts of the island, into Manhattan. I think they have about 25 buses a day. Let me read you the headline from the article, February 27th of last year. Hampton Jitney warns riders of higher fares if it doesn't get congestion pricing exemption. Now, I don't know if they got the exemption or not. I don't know if they qualify for it. But, they're not a municipally owned commuter service or anything like that. It's a private bus company. But basically, what they were saying is that they would have to increase their rates by about 30% because of this fee. Now, looking at the chart here, looks like a bus, at least initially, would be paying $14.40. Hang on, there's so many numbers here. I'm trying to get it right. Peak period there. There's two. Okay, licensed sightseeing buses. No, that's not what this is. Okay, so if it was $15, like it was supposed to be back then, they'd be paying $24 for each entry. And I think buses do pay if they come back. All right, so that's $24. Now, their fare from let's see, it doesn't say where this is from, but I imagine it's from somewhere in the Hamptons. It's $41.12 round trip. All right, that's not bad. They want to increase that to $53.12, an increase of $12. Now, I don't know a whole lot about buses. I only know a little bit about math, but $24 fee, congestion pricing fee for a bus, and you're raising your rates $12 for everybody on the bus. You see the problem here? Do Hampton Jitney buses only have 2 passengers? Because that's the only way you can justify that. 12 times 2 is 24. $12 increase times 2 people. Now, those buses, they hold 54 people. I checked. Let's say, they're halfway full. Let's say they have 25 people. Now, 12 times 25, class? That's right. $300 is what they would be making from extra charges for each trip in and out. They don't get charged on the way out. So they're clearing $300 minus the 24 they have to pay. And that's for a half full bus. Now imagine the bus is completely full and we're up to $600 and they're still paying only 24. This is what is happening. Whenever you hear people saying, oh, prices are going to have to go up, you're not doing the calculations. You're not saying, well, how many customers does this truck have? How many passengers does this bus have? does this person realize they only have to pay when they drive their car in once per day? You know, when you factor all of that in, then you realize that, wow, it really isn't the big deal that everybody is claiming it is. And we're getting so much for this. So keep that in mind when you see people complaining about this, because, boy, people are complaining about this. And somehow it's turned into a Democrat versus Republican issue. I don't know how. But you can expect to see it, I guess, next year when the governor runs for re-election or whatnot. I can hardly wait to use it.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds like an interesting resource for people to take advantage of.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is. Okay, I'm just trying to go through what happened today because I haven't actually seen the whole thing. But this is... Kyle hasn't heard any of this. Where'd he go? He disappeared in front of me. Okay, well, hopefully he can hear me wherever he is. Basically, Trump had a press conference today, and he just basically rambled on about all sorts of things. And I don't know where to begin. Where do you begin on this? Okay, he was asked whether he could assure the world that he would not use military force against Panama to take back the canal. He said, "No, I can't assure you. I can't assure you of that." Actually, he was asked two questions. He was asked about Panama. He was asked about Greenland, because all of a sudden Greenland is something that is in his sights that he wants to take and use for America. So basically, he is saying that he cannot guarantee that he will not use military force against two of our allies, Denmark and Panama. I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this, we need them for economic security. We need the Panama Canal and we need Greenland. And apparently he's willing to take it by force. People, you voted for this, all right? This is on you. The people who voted for Trump, you were warned that lunacy would follow. He hasn't even taken office yet, and this is the kind of crap we're hearing. Now, it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there. I don't even know if he's smoking something, if he's joking, but he's basically saying Canada is going to be the 51st state. I mean, it's got to be a joke, all right? First of all, he might not be aware that Quebec is part of Canada, but I can tell you right now, the resistance that you will see if you even try and suck Quebec into the United States is something that you just will not believe when it happens. All right. The rest of Canada basically knows this. And the rest of Canada also would resist anything like that. It's complete insanity. And, it speaks to his ignorance of the country. The fact that Canada has so many different provinces and territories, all different, all diverse. And he just thinks the whole thing is going to become a state because he wants to. Now, he didn't say that he was going to, I can't believe I'm even saying these things. It's ridiculous. No, he didn't say that he was going to use military force against Canada. I guess we should thank him for that. He did say, though, he would use economic force against Canada to force them to become the 51st state, because together there's nothing we can't do. And plus, they look like us, so it's not like, we have to worry about them crossing the border. Yeah. It doesn't end there. Kyle, how much of this are you hearing for the first time?
I've heard pieces of it, but seems like it's a recurring theme. So more.
Well, I got one I think you haven't heard.
More big changes, I guess, in the world that we're all going to love.
Well, I mean, we got to have fun with this. This one is probably new to you. He doesn't like the Gulf of Mexico. He doesn't like the name, and he wants to rename it the Gulf of America. I am not making this up. He vowed to first of all, how does he have the right to change the name of a body of water that's international? I mean, okay, so he promises to basically rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and why stop there?
Isn't it both though?
Isn't it both what?
Well, if you're going to be really technical, it's sort of a Gulf of both Mexico and
Are you going to say that?
North America. So you'd say like the Gulf of North America and Mexico, or Mexico and North America.
God, but seriously, why stop there? Why stop there? Why is it called the Atlantic Ocean? Why is it called the Pacific Ocean? It should be American Ocean East, American Ocean West. Come on. Show a little pride in the bodies of water that surround this country. And if we had Canada, then the Arctic Ocean could be the American Ocean North. Wait, hold on a second. Why? Okay, well, as long as we're talking about names, Trump, let's focus on America. Why the hell are we called America? All right? Canada is America. Mexico is America. Paraguay is America. It's all America. How come we get to call ourselves America?
No, we're the United States. Like, of the Americas, we're the United States.
What's your nationality? You're an American. No one else gets to say that. Why not?
Of the United States. Ask me what state. I'll tell you. That's what it is. Why is everyone so confused?
Whenever I think I get more confused. Whenever I enter a country and I'm asked what my nationality is, I always say United States. I never say American, because I don't think we have the right to just take it over. It's not only one whole continent; it's two continents. North America, South America. Change the name of that then, if you don't want people to say we're American as well. And clearly, we are abusing the name. Now I wonder, with that spirit, if you were to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of the Americas, how about that? Trump wouldn't like that, because the Americas sounds too international, but America is us. I don't think we deserve the name anymore.
What if we just switch the numbers? So, like, you go 1 would be America, or 0? I don't know. But you start somewhere. Then what's second? Like, Canada or Mexico?
I don't know.
And then third, you just switch out. Forget names. Just
Have
number
numbers.
all the
I'm intrigued.
the countries, and we'll just. They don't have to be ranked. It could just be random.
It could be their country code.
It doesn't even have to be whole numbers.
No, it could be their country codes, because we're already country code number 1.
Well, that I think is maybe where I'm getting this.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just already, you could already associate it if you just always understood it
Instead
as
of
one.
saying Italy, you say 39.
Yeah. What
England, 44.
is your nationality? 1.
We're number 1. We are number 1.
Well, we like saying it a lot. I mean, it fits for so many people's worldviews.
And you know what else? Canada shares that country code. So the phone company knew about this way ahead of Trump. Oh my God, it's going to happen, isn't it? Wow. Yeah, okay. So Mexican and Panamanian authorities did not immediately comment, but you can bet they're preparing something now. Panamanian President Jose Raul Molino has previously rejected the notion of turning the canal back to the U.S. because why the hell would they? And interestingly enough, it was under Jimmy Carter, who is currently having a funeral, that the Panama Canal was returned to Panama, which, it doesn't really seem like that's illogical in any way. He also wants NATO to demand more money from all the countries, spend 5% of their gross domestic product on defense, which is a significant increase from the current 2% target. He basically says, I think NATO should have 5%. They can all afford it, but they should be at 5%, not 2%, as if he has the right to demand what NATO does. But, if any country cannot afford it, he's going to let Russia do whatever they want to them. He said that. He has said that. I haven't watched the whole press conference. I'm going to need a couple more cups of coffee for this, but it's wild. Just watch the late night TV shows tonight. I'm sure there'll be plenty of excerpts. We had a couple of terrible things happen in the new year, which was last Wednesday. We had 2 terrorist attacks. Although, weirdly enough, the second one is not being referred to as a terrorist attack. I'll get into that in a second. But in the first instance, in the streets of New Orleans, about 3 a.m, some lunatic drove a pickup truck at full speed through a crowd of people in the French Quarter, killing, I believe, 14. This guy had pledged allegiance to ISIS. Yeah, remember them? They're back. And it was just a really, really horrible thing. Domestic terrorism. Guy came from Texas. And the second case basically was rather bizarre. A Cybertruck was blown up outside of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. And the imagery could not be more apropos to what we're facing right now. Now, interestingly enough, Elon Musk has threatened to sue anybody who said what I just said, that a Cybertruck blew up. He would prefer that we say that material inside the Cybertruck blew up. So basically, if you ever talk about a car bomb, don't call it a car bomb. It's not the car blowing up. It's the bomb inside that's blowing up inside the car. Because by saying the Cybertruck blew up, you're casting doubt on the integrity of the Cybertruck, and you're not giving it the respect that it demands. And there can be a very heavy price for that. Elon Musk is out of his damn mind. Every day he says something even crazier and more childish. It's like a combination of a dictator and somebody on IRC, at the same time, because he'll tell Germany who should be heading their government. He'll do the same thing in England, and then he'll call somebody a child molester for no particular reason. And if you have watched any of those TV programs or movies where there's a bunch of people, I don't know, fighting some kind of a power plant or factory in their pristine community, and there's this evil billionaire that is basically thwarting their efforts and doesn't care at all about them and is evil personified. That is who this is. And in all of those films, all of those TV programs, never ends well for the nasty billionaire. So get your popcorn, because it's going to be quite a show.
Except for Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns is a cartoon, okay, and he's lovable. He's frail. We've all grown up with. Do you realize people have grown up with The Simpsons? Like people in their 30s, I think, have had Simpsons all the time. I can't even conceive of that, but yeah, Mr. Burns. Gotta love him. But anyway, so the reason why people haven't called the second guy a terrorist is because he had issues. He was basically just, at the end of his rope. He had PTSD. Both of them had served in the army. Both of the terrorists had. And yes, I am continuing to call him a terrorist. He blew up a Cybertruck. Sorry, Elon. He blew up a Cybertruck outside a hotel at the main entrance. Injured a bunch of people. Could have killed a whole lot more. Now, some people are saying, hey, it proves the Cybertruck isn't a good vehicle to use as a car bomb. It's great that we know that now. Okay, so if you're a suicide bomber, don't use a Cybertruck. Save your money. Okay, but
these are just increasingly weird things to say.
Really?
And frankly, it's like, if you really want to be literal, I know people, there was tragedy involved in this, but the guy barbecued a Cybertruck. That was it.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of solvents and whatever kind of magnesium or whatever crazy stuff he put in there.
It took them hours to get the body out of the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
It was fused in, or I don't know what it was, but
well, the batteries themselves, I don't know if those were compromised, and maybe they didn't actually do a bad job of protecting it. And then we're saying this is a feature somehow that you can have one of these sort of crazy reaction, act out in this way using this kind of vehicle, and it actually won't be as bad a vector for someone's rage. It's just wrong.
It's so, and Elon Musk was able to provide access to the vehicle when asked. So did you know Elon Musk can basically unlock any Cybertruck or provide GPS access or whatnot? So you can't get on his bad side because he could mess with you if you're driving one of his vehicles.
Yeah, it's a hard pass right there.
But no, it was terrible. It was, this could have really been an awful thing. But the guy had obviously been through some stuff, had some issues, and I sympathize with that. But, PTSD does not cause you to blow up a vehicle in front of a crowded place. It doesn't do that. All right. People need to get treatment. They need to get support and help. But when you do something like that, you stop being somebody that I have sympathy for, and you start being somebody who is reprehensible and doesn't give a crap about the people around them. Domestic terrorism. There is just no other way to describe this. But for some reason, MAGA is basically almost treating this guy like a hero, because he's a big Trump. He was a big Trump supporter, and it's incredible to watch how they try to portray the situation when they don't know anything. They say, well, it's got to be one of those anti-Trump Democrats or somebody coming over the border, and it was none of that. And now, basically, they are saying, yeah, this poor guy, he was failed by the system.
Yeah, they love reinterpreting their own benevolence.
Matt Gaetz said that the Vegas dude seems like a real Chad. Now, Chad, if you don't know, is an internet slang term that refers to an impressive, successful, or good-looking man. I don't know what his issue is, why he felt this was the time for that kind of a compliment. Yeah, and a lot of people apparently are agreeing with that assessment. For others in the MAGA nation, the only way to, and this is true, the only way to square his support for Trump with the alleged attack, I'm not sure how it's an alleged attack, it definitely happened, and he was the one in it. Basically, they turn to conspiracy theories. It's definitely a psyop, said one MAGA user. Responding to Matt Gaetz, it was the FBI. They always set up conservatives. It's all they do. It's all they do.
That's the first thing I say when I get out of bed.
What, how are we going to set up a conservative?
Every day. Just
we're not part of the FBI?
Everything's a psyop, and yeah.
Wait, always sleeper agents for the FBI?
Sure.
Oh, I didn't know they had those. Okay.
What else?
Someone else said, none of this makes any sense to me whatsoever. It seems MK Ultra-ish, a reference to the CIA's secret experience with mind control in the mid-20th century.
Oh, they brought acid?
Oh, no. Yeah, so lunacy. This year started with complete and utter lunacy. And he's not even in power yet. I don't know what's going to happen on the 20th. What's today? The 7th? It's 2 weeks from yesterday, the 20th. So that's going to be something. Of course, on the 21st, we debut our new theme for the radio program, Off the Wall, which means next week is the last time we will be playing the theme to the show. We always change with every new administration. But let's talk about the Biden administration because it's still around, and they're still trying to do good things. How about this? Unpaid medical bills will no longer appear on credit records. Yeah, so people can no longer be blocked from mortgages, car loans, small business loans. And that's according to a final rule announced today by the Biden administration. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau rule will remove $49 billion in medical debt from the credit reports of more than 15 million Americans, which means lenders will no longer be able to take that into consideration when deciding to issue a loan. The change is estimated to raise the credit scores by an average of 20 points, could lead to 22,000 additional mortgages being approved every year. Vice President Kamala Harris said in a statement announcing the rule that it would be life-changing for millions of families. 15 million Americans. I wonder how many of those 15 million voted for the administration that did this for them. Harris said no one should be denied economic opportunity because they got sick or experienced a medical emergency. I want to hear Trump say that. You never will. You never will. And look for Trump to try and put this back somehow. And yet, people will still say he stands for them. It's pathetic. Now, okay, talk about ingrates. Remember Biden basically commuted all these death sentences a couple of weeks ago? Caught holy hell for it from the right. But, we used to not execute people federally. And Trump, of course, wants to go back to that. But 2 of the federal prisoners whose death sentences were recently commuted by President Biden have asked a judge to block the reduction in their sentences, arguing it could jeopardize their appeals. He gave them life, and they wanted to take it back. They want the death penalty back on their sentence. Wow, that is something. 37 prisoners were on federal death row and had their sentences commuted on December 23rd. And at least 2 of them want to go back. They said they never requested a commutation and did not want one. All right, You
don't know the specifics of what was on their conscience. I mean, I'm sure you could get into exactly who and what, but
I don't think it's much of a conscience issue. I think they basically think they have a better chance of appealing their case if they're on death row rather than life sentence.
So it's a total strategy?
I don't know. That's
hey.
It's just a weird story.
That is strange. Predicament. What else you got?
I got an update on Native American mascots here on Long Island. There's still some school districts that are fighting this. Okay, let's look into it. For Wantagh resident Matt Susko, Warriors isn't just the name of his hometown's high school sports team. It's always been a lifelong sense of pride for us residents, students, since we were children. Susko is president of the Wantagh Preservation Society. He and many other residents were dismayed when the New York State Board of Regents mandated that public schools remove Native American imagery, including mascots and team names like Warriors. 13 districts on the island were affected by the ban, which was imposed under a state statute that seeks to ensure a safe and supportive environment for students. Districts that did not comply by June 30th could face a loss of state aid or the removal of school officers, such as elected board members. Now, 9 districts have either announced new names and mascots or said they will do so by the deadline, but 4 others, Wantagh, Wyandanch, Conequat, and Massapequa, have pushed back, filing suit for the right to keep their decades-old names or arguing that the ban violates their constitutional rights. Now, residents who oppose the change said the mascots instill a sense of community pride and tradition and contend that they actually honor the Native Americans who once occupied much of Long Island. But, I've said this before. A simple thing you can do. If you believe you're honoring Native Americans, well, we have Native American tribes here on Long Island. Get their support. If you're truly honoring them, they will support you. And if they support you, I don't see New York State saying, well, no, Native Americans, we're not going to listen to you as far as saying it's okay to name a team, whatever it is that is in question here. And if you can't get their support, maybe ask yourself why. Do you really want to have this fight where you're trying to, quote unquote, honor Native Americans who don't want your honor? Now, local Native American leaders have disputed assertions that the mascots are a form of tribute, saying the names and logos promote a stereotypical image of their community and damage indigenous children's self-esteem. Does not sound like support to me. Doesn't sound like you're honoring them. Harry Wallace is chief of the Unkachog Indian Nation. He says it speaks to an acceptance of a racist caricature of a people who are alive, well, living, breathing with a distinct culture. Yeah. But the Wantagh School District representative said to remove these logos and names would be a travesty because you cannot forget history. Well, maybe we should put swastikas up all over the place then, too, because that's a part of history. Can't forget that. You have to be a little understanding of other perspectives. And if somebody finds this to be offensive to their people, and yet you claim, but we're honoring you, I don't really have much faith in your judgment at that point. Former Wantagh resident Glenn Strachan, who runs a virtual memorial page remembering Wantagh residents who have died, said there needs to be sensitivity given to Native Americans that have asked that their images not be appropriated for other issues. See, there are people who get it. Wantagh School's Superintendent John McNamara said in a statement that the district is awaiting the outcome of its lawsuit and remains hopeful that the Warriors' name will be preserved. He noted that a district mascot committee met in 2023 and provided recommendations to the Board of Education. Regardless of the decision, the district is prepared to respond appropriately. Now, farther east in Wyandanch, some residents expressed a similar connection to the Warriors' name. The hamlet is named after a Native American chief named Wyandanch, who is believed to have been born around 1615 in Montauk. Longtime Wyandanch resident Robert Johnson said the community has seen much change lately between new developments, construction of charter schools, and the influx of new residents. Now more than ever, he said, the nickname resonates with him. We've been through so much. That sense of saying I'm a warrior and having the actual picture means a lot. Well, okay. Means a lot, but you can't ignore the fact that it started as a Native American reference. And there is still that connection. You can't just erase that because you feel like a warrior, or a brave or an Indian or whatever it is that people are naming teams without thinking about what they are referencing, what the historical ties are. It's embarrassing that this even is a conversation. If Native Americans are not comfortable with your tribute names to them, stop doing it. Stop doing it. The Connequot and Massapequa districts have taken a different stance in their suit, seeking to invalidate the statewide ban as a whole. Massapequa goes by the name Chiefs, and its mascot is also a Native American man in a headdress. Okay, are you going to tell us that there's no connection there or something, or that's honoring Native Americans? Connequot is known as the Thunderbirds or T-Birds. Its logo is a red, black, and white bird. The name Thunderbirds was first chosen by students in the 1960s, eventually morphed into the T-Birds. The district in its suit argued that mythical birds like the Thunderbird and other creatures are not unique to Native American culture. Here we go. So, your Native American culture that we appropriated, there's more cultures too. It's got nothing to do with you anymore. The word Connequot, which I might be pronouncing wrong, by the way, is an Algonquian Indian word meaning at the long river, according to a local records database. Similarly, Massapequa comes from the Native American Marspeak or Mashpeak, which means Great Waterland. In Massapequa, Native American imagery is not only ingrained on sports jerseys, but also in a mural next to a local bagel shop and even in the local Chamber of Commerce logo. It's a long-standing tradition that represents the history and spirit of Massapequa, said Robin Hepworth, president of the Massapequa Chamber of Commerce. I don't feel that it disrespects the Native American culture. I feel chiefs symbolizes strength, leadership, honor. But Robin, you're not Native American. I don't think you're qualified to speak to what disrespects them. But they are. And if they're saying this disrespects them, end of, Stop arguing because you're wrong. It's always troubled me that all these names on Long Island are named after Native American tribes that have been massacred, that have been erased. I don't know if it makes us feel better having the names left as some kind of a memory, and I certainly would want to ask Native American representatives, communities, how they feel about that. Do those names cause pain? Are those things that we need to rethink as well? Because it's really weird. We're used to Patchogue and Cutchogue and Setauket and so many more. And it's not just on Long Island. It's all around this country. But what do those names actually mean? Do we know the history? Do we know why those people aren't around anymore for the most part? And are we in touch with the many Native Americans who are around? And do they have a means of addressing this? Are they empowered? Because they certainly deserve to be. You know, we talked last week about Inuit TV that Kyle and I constantly have on because it's so soothing, educational, and just somehow comforting. And of course, there's Aboriginal People's Television Network, APTN. Both of these are Canadian networks. We don't have anything like that in this country. We deserve to have that. The Native American people certainly deserve to be programming multiple networks, radio, television. There are so many stories to tell, you know, and Reservation Dogs, if you've never seen that, what a great story from Oklahoma about Native communities in this country. And we know so little about that. It's a travesty. And this story really brings that forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, connecting and getting more visibility to those networks. There's small networks. There's radio stations that are particularly effective, low power and other. But you really have to have a bit more to compete with the scale and sort of breadth of the wider mainstream media. And of course, the National Broadcasting Network in Canada is structured differently. We don't have the same kind of thing here in PBS. I mean, there's some programming, but it's not as nearly as comprehensive, I think. So, and doesn't have the same kind of history. So we need to kind of found those things ourselves and realize that we're actually missing out culturally in understanding our identity or lack thereof through the lens of the people who do have an understanding of really what was here before us as a formal country and where we stand with that history today. And I just, yeah, we gotta have a much deeper appreciation for that as a part of other kinds of things that get elevated in associating with being a patriot or being a part of the broader society and regionalisms and stuff. It really is, so overlooked in how pivotal it is and sort of central to our identity.
Yeah, and I'd like to know in schools, how is this being taught? Is this being taught? I mean, yeah, we learned about the Iroquois and the Mohawks and, things that happened hundreds of years ago. And of course, it wasn't presented accurately, but being in fifth grade or whatever, I had no way of knowing that. How is it being presented today? Is it being presented accurately? And what of the present? Because, these people didn't just completely disappear. There are all kinds of communities around that deserve to be thriving and very much a part of deciding where we're going as a nation. Now, kind of related to this, we talked about this last week as well, the Shinnecock Nation out east, their dispute with the town of Southampton. Now, the U.S. Department of the Interior has determined that the Shinnecock Indian Nation's Westwoods property has always been within the nation's Aboriginal territory, and that's a major setback for state and local attempts to block the tribe's billboard and gas station projects. Now, as I mentioned, I kind of wish there were different projects and gas stations and billboards, but I do recognize, and I think everyone has to recognize, it's their land. They get to do what they want with it. And they deserve to be treated not as trespassers, but as people who control that land. It's theirs. Now, in a letter to the tribe on Thursday, the Department of the Interior said it examined the land title status of the 80-acre Westwoods property in Hampton Bays and found that the Shinnecock Nation has resided within its Aboriginal territory since time immemorial and has never been removed therefrom. Westwoods, the department found, is and always has been restricted fee land held by the nation and is now recorded to reflect such status. The land is within the purview of the U.S. Non-Intercourse Act. Really, that's what it's called, the Non-Intercourse Act, and is therefore restricted against alienation absent consent of the United States. The federally recognized Shinnecock Nation has argued all along that Westwoods, like its main territory on Shinnecock Bay and Southampton, is sovereign tribal land and not subject to state or local zoning restrictions. Now, the state, in a 2019 lawsuit, seeking to block the billboards argued that Westwoods was so-called fee simple land owned by the tribe and therefore subject to state law. And the town in its recently filed lawsuit against tribal trustees seeking to block the gas station asserted that Westwoods is not an Indian reservation. But Shinnecock Vice Chairman Lance Gumbs said on Thursday, the federal letter really confirms a long-standing acknowledgement of our Westwoods land holdings. We've been saying this before the lawsuits since forever. And now the Shinnecocks, as of this week, Shinnecock Tribe is asking the appellate court to suspend their order that was threatening billboards. That was basically issued last month, like 2 months ago, actually, in November. And in light of this statement by the Department of the Interior, they pretty much have to do that. Now, what happens under Trump? Yeah, good question. I'm a bit worried about that. But this is an acknowledgement at least. So I'm happy to see that, and we'll certainly keep people updated. Okay, that's it for our first show of the year. And what a year it's going to be. You can write to us, otw@2600.com. We'd love to hear from our listeners and hear stories and things like that, feedback, questions. And of course, we also are now able to take phone calls. We didn't take phone calls today. Probably should have asked for people to call in, but next time we'll do that. Next time on our last program of the current administration, 2 weeks from now, it's going to be a different place. I don't even know where to begin as far as that goes. I'm going to watch the press conference. I think you should do it too. I think you should just, dive in and see just a preview of what the crazy is going to be like. And I just hope to see people resisting more than ever before. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a real test of our integrity and of the integrity of people around us. But we can do this. And here at WUSB, we will be here to document the whole thing. All right, folks, have a good night. Stay warm. Thank you for the snow, whoever sent it. Let's get some more. I'll see you, Kyle.
Bye.
Don't let the sun go down on your grievance. Respect love of the heart over lust of the flesh. Do yourself a favor, become your own savior, and don't let the sun go down on your grievance. And when you wake up in the morning, you'll have a brand new feeling, and you'll find yourself healing. So don't let the sun go down on your grievance. And yet if you find yourself in the dark, and you're left holding the bag, then take care of it right away. And don't let the sun go down on your grievance again. Sometimes you might wanna give up, but keep that chin up, 'cause you're gonna find sometimes you might be alone, but don't feel lonely, 'cause you're gonna find. So don't let the sun go down on your grievance. Start each day with a clean slate. You'll feel better if you can shake off all that hate. And don't forget to forgive and forget. And don't let the sun go down on your grievance. Don't let club of the